We have a quorum. Good. Good evening, my name is Tracy Schultz. I am the chair of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Reconstruction Advisory Group. I am opening this meeting of the advisory group and hereby call the meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. We are holding this meeting in person at the MDTA Police Building at the Bay Bridge. Attendees should note that this meeting is being recorded and will be available on the BRAG webpage after the meeting for attendees to view, download. Attendees should also note that the recording will include the audio and video from this evening's meeting. Presentations will be available to download from the BRAG webpage. I would ask anyone in the room with us this evening, please refrain from speaking unless you are presenting or answering questions so that background noise is minimized for those viewing remotely. Members of the public pre-registered to comment on specific agenda items. I will provide you with an opportunity to comment after the agenda item is presented. We appreciate everyone's patience and ask that you hold any comments until the designated time. We ask that you please introduce yourself by giving us your name and community you represent before moving on with your question or comment. Members of the public joining us via Microsoft Teams will be able to view the meeting only. For security reasons, the chat function in Microsoft Teams is not enabled for MDTA personnel. Any posts entered in the chat windows are not visible to staff and will not be responded to. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded in its entirety. For the record, all members are present except for
Terry Sue's here representing Will Pines from MDTA and Richard County U representing Bruce Gardner. And then David Gable is not present. John Foster is not present, and Donald Shaw.
Thanks, David. Good. Okay. Our first item of business will be to elect a chair and vice chair for the upcoming year in accordance with the bylaws. As the acting incumbent, I will chair this meeting. The BRAG and the new elected chair will begin their term at the next meeting. The group will now nominate and vote on the chair before proceeding to nominate and vote on the vice chair. I have a motion to vote on the chair.
No one objects. I'd like to nominate Mr. Schultz here.
I have a second. Second. I have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone against? Thank you. All right, our next will be for vice chair. A motion for someone for vice chair?
We'll make a motion to give the chair, vice chair back to Mr. Broderick.
Have a second? Good. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Those motions to move forward, so the keeping the chair and the vice chair the same. Thank you all for your trust, I guess.
We don't need new states.
Paperwork sheet for you. All right. Our first agenda item is a review of the minutes of the previous meeting held in April. Melissa always mails them out, so if anybody has any comments or complaints or anything needs to be changed in these, they should get back before this meeting. I didn't see anything. So is everybody good with these minutes? And can I have a motion to accept those written? So move. Second.
Second.
All in favor? Or against? Move. Next is our annual report. Report has been finalized and submitted to the Governor and General Assembly. Final version was sent to BRAG members prior to tonight's meeting. I now open the floor to any member who wishes to discuss the annual report. Everybody got a copy of that? Anybody have any? Hope you didn't have any because we asked before about anything they wanted to change. We could have changed it last time. Everybody good with what's written in the report? Pretty much it summarizes what we've been, all of our meetings pulled together and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, Trace, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think it's a good format. It's long. It's gonna, whoever in the governor's office actually reads it, they're really gonna see what the heck this group has been doing. But I think it's quite well done. You guys are quite accurate, but thank you.
Good job on that. I feel getting that together.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. So Next, we have our quarterly group activities and recommendations. Our next item is requirement of House Bill 56, which is a report on the group's activities since the last meeting and any recommendations they have based on those activities. BRAG duties, they are to provide MDTA with an independent, citizen-informed perspective and authority of operations at the Bay Bridge. Assess potential concerns about activity at the Bay Bridge, educate the public about activity related to the Bay Bridge, and work with MDTA to provide pertinent input related to traffic and customer service issues. Any members like to share their individual educational activities and interactions with their communities since the last meeting? I'll start with Nick. We'll go around the table.
Well, the talk of the summer is the backups. There's no getting around. And a lot of people think, the MDTA is doing a bad job. But the problem is not the MDTA, it is, I don't know if Jesus Christ could do that. It's you're gonna need more than 5 lanes. And until we get there, there's not gonna be much improvement. I know I was at Ocean City 4th of July around that time, and I came home Monday. I had no problem getting home Monday. But my nephew left Ocean City on Sunday to get to Bethesda. It took him 6 hours.
Yeah.
6 hours. I mean, he's a wild man driving. So, I don't know what you're gonna do. And the other thing that confuses me, I know we've done studies in the past where these cars are coming from. But they can't be coming from, Ocean City holds about 350,000 people and probably been that way for 10 years. So where are these cars going? Where are they coming from and where are they going that we have these tremendous backups? Monday's a backup, Tuesday. I couldn't even go to the hardware store last two Tuesdays ago because traffic, something happened on the bridge. And then, of course, it backed up and you couldn't get to the hardware store on Route 18. So I don't know. I think you gotta start telling these people there's gonna be a new bridge and there's gonna be new lanes and being a little bit more positive about it. And I think that's the direction you gotta head in. So, that's it for me.
Yeah, I don't have anything. No, I really do. Always have something I want to share. Jim's smiling. But I want to say thank you to MDTA for a couple of things. The Kent Island Day we had in May was a great Kent Island celebration, a couple thousand people there. We had a very strong, active MDTA presence with our Bay Crossing study, our bridge operation, and in our opening parade, MDTA color guard. It always, I think, puts on a really good face for what we're doing here at the bridge. Very professional and well done. But I want to say thanks to you all for your participation. Also, thanks for delaying the ramp closure one day so we could have Kent Island Day. It started the day after, and that's more important than you think. We couldn't have done it if it wasn't closed. But the ramp closure issue does appear to be working. There are folks who have objections to it, but the public meeting that was held not too long after our last BRAG meeting on the island was last year. It was like standing room only. This year, a few folks came, and other than some people down Route 8, it was really very strongly affirmed. And the feedback that I see from the folks in Stevensville and the businesses in the arts and entertainment district is very positive. It does work. And I think it does have a positive impact on not slowing down the traffic on the highway as soon as you get to the Route 50. The concerns that I hear, as Nick said, is about the new bridge. What is it going to be? What the design is going to be, and how compact the crossing is going to be across the island. We do have a a concern. It's a MDTA traffic issue on Kent Island, and I'll be talking to MDTA. But there's a new business proposal at Cox Neck Road, a high input in and out Dunkin' Donuts at the most dangerous intersection already on Kent Island. And it if something happens there, it's gonna have a major impact on the Route 50. And I can tell you, it'll be guaranteed that dangerous intersection will become even more dangerous. So I'm hoping for SHA support, on that effort. Again, it's not a direct bridge issue, but a very definite SHA issue. But thank you all. Aaron?
My updates will come a little
Yeah,
later.
okay.
Yeah, I'll wait for mine with comments. Yeah.
Okay, on June 27th, evidently Waze didn't have the exit 32 closed. The South Service Road was chock-a-block back and forth. Cars going down, cars coming back. I left Whitehall Road. It took me 25 minutes to get to Cape St. Clair Road and St. Marcus. And they were feeding both into, everybody's trying to get into exit 30. It was a disaster. I don't know what you do with Waze. I mean, I thought it was announced to everybody that it was, on their schedule.
So we do coordinate with Waze. I don't know what happened that particular day.
Yeah, it was a disaster.
Somebody screwed up.
Anything else?
Good afternoon, Ben. Did have the opportunity a couple of months ago to meet one of the candidates running for mayor and meet and greet. And as always, the topic of traffic comes up because on the eastern side of, the bridge gets backed up and people try to escape through West Annapolis and St. Marcus Road, and it causes a little bit of drama going through, getting in and out of Annapolis. And I did, I understand Nick's, mentioned, tell anybody to be patient. It's coming, it's happening. But again, I guess a lot of frustration, because again, there's really nothing you can do and it's been this way for a while. So people are a little frustrated, but I do try to assure them that, there are people in this room kind of working through that and trying to make things happen. So, just kind of spread the gospel basically, let people know that, something is happening. People are trying to, doing their efforts to kind of improve the situation, but it's going to take a little time. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to give you some bullets that most of you know, because you know where we live in Amberley. And as the past president of the Borough Council for 16 years, our number one issue has been traffic. In fact, the reason I formed the Government Council was because of so many calls coming in for help on getting traffic improved here. And we all know it's not going to happen overnight. So our focus for the Broadneck Peninsula, for those who call and ask for help, is obviously number one, Bay Bridge traffic. The traffic on St. Margaret's Road is number two, and that is a clogged gateway to the bridge if you're going eastbound and you want to get off Route 50. They just jam up St. Margaret's Road. There's a traffic light there at the entrance at the intersection of Pleasant Plains and St. Margaret's Road and Old Mill Bottom Road is sort of converged. It's a very complex traffic light. And there is no left turn signal when you're going eastbound. And people have complained about that to me, that we need to have a left turn signal. And hopefully somebody will help us out. Light pole activity. Kim Tran is running with this, and I don't have an update on that, but that has taken a lot of our time because a couple of folks on the Broadneck Council were very concerned about the number of inactive light poles and dead light poles that were strewn along the exit 28, I believe, 828. And I know, Terry, you've gotten involved in that. So if anybody has an update, we want to talk about it because it's on a very dangerous area, and I've driven it several times. It's been 5 years. This poor man has been writing emails for 5 years, and I'm getting most of them.
Is this part of the area of the bridge or just part of
The interchanges leading up to the bridge. So I do have an update for you. The contractor is scheduled to start this week.
This week? Oh,
Yeah, and they're gonna look at all 5 intersections, or interchanges, 27, 28, 29, 30, and 32.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. Other issue is the weeds. I don't know who's taking care of the weeds, but they're getting so high, like at the intersection of Cape St. Clair Road, when you're trying to get on Route 50, The weeds are so high, I can't see the traffic coming off of Route 50 going westbound. And it really needs attention. I've had complaints, on the eastbound side of the service road, and the weeds are again very high. I know you're busy, I know you're backed up, and I know you have a lot of folks asking for help, but I'm just bringing this up because it is an issue. Sandy Point, the police patrol, I engaged Antelope County Police in 2016. They have been outstanding, and I'm going to do what I can to thank them and to give them some attaboys for the time they spent up there. But and I know we have a new Sandy Point State Park reservation system this summer, so that should help us out. And then finally, I want to thank, we had a wonderful Broadneck Council meeting a couple of months ago, and our speakers for the night were our Senator, Don Guile, and, our representative is, okay, our representative. And, they spoke initially, but the stars of the evening were Terry Soos and Kim Chan, who spoke for State Highways and delivered an update on transportation for this area. Of course, everybody is very focused on the Bay Bridge, and we know that that's, you know, you're all working on it. Nothing we can do to help. Also, Melissa Williams and her team, Heather Lowe and Eric Almquist, presented more detail than I've heard in really anywhere. And the meeting usually lasts from 7 to 9. We had to ask people to leave at 10 o'clock. They stayed around and talked to everybody, and the meeting was absolutely outstanding. So thank you, State Highways and MDTA for all the information and the support you provided us. That was a wonderful occasion, and we're going to do it every year.
Very good. Well, the only thing I have is that are involved with the accident the it's always good to work with the Bay Bridge Police and the guys out there. They always do a great job. And we do our thing, they do their thing, and we all get it done. Pretty neat. We landed the helicopter on the bridge. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't because of amount of ambulance and stuff we need. This was a single patient, so we were able to do that. And, it was like a 7-minute extrication on our part. That was pretty quick, felt like. But there was a nice video on MSP, if anybody's seen it or not. One of the guys that, actually, from the time they took off to the time they landed on the bridge, went to the shock trauma, it was like a little short video. Really, I'm not a person to tell you where to find it at, but some of the guys showed me. So, but you can watch that. It's really neat because guys on the helicopter had the doors open, like sort of hanging. You can see the bridge and all in there. Sort of like start to finish, really quick video and stuff. It's pretty neat to see how everything's good. Have you seen it, anybody?
I didn't see it.
It's pretty cool. You seen it? You might be able to tell me how to get to it then.
I'll get it. Tell my wife to do it.
But anyway, it's pretty, it's always good to work with great guys. You know, so always, thank you.
Trace, I have one other thank you that I wanted to say. This is a staffing issue. You know where I'm going with this. Listen, I had to reapply for my reappointment on the BRAG. I sure hope the heck it goes through. But I had one heck of a time with the application. I couldn't get there from here. So I talked to Melissa, ended up talking with someone in the governor's appointment office, and we still couldn't make it work. I think it was a combination of me, my computer, and my email. So she said, I'll tell you what, bring your computer into the office. So I did. Don't turn anything off, bring it in. So I went in, and through the help, again, between Melissa and Natalie Smith over in the governor's appointment office, I was able to get my application in, but I think it was above and beyond. Thank you, big time.
That was above and beyond for you to drive to Minneapolis.
Well, I tell you, yeah, I really wanted to stay on.
Dedication, I want to see, that's, I mean, that's, it's dedication to the
Sport
sport
of the effort.
And I'd like to second that because she helped me also. And, she, as she knows. But
It's very better.
All right, next we have is MDTA and SHA updates, current projects. Chief Engineer Jim Martinez.
They're recommending this, what's your name first?
Yeah. Charles, can you pull the table up, please? Okay, we'll, walk through the project table that we have here. Our first project is BB 3017, which is the eastbound, bridge redecking phase 1. So that project has reached, 95% of the total for the number of panels that we're gonna place out there under this phase. That's 148 of the 156. We had high hopes to wrap it up by June. But we had a lot of bad weather, since our last meeting. So we probably had a cancellation rate of 50%, if not higher, over the last 3 months. So we did not get those last 8 panels in, but we are, looking for every opportunity to do that, and we hope to again see if we can wrap it up in the next 3 weeks. But
So all 8 panels are made?
oh yeah, panels have been cast since last meeting. Yep, we had them all cast, so panels are 100% complete.
Jim, any other effort on the bumpiness issue?
Yeah, so
where the panels
bumpiness.
come together.
Bumpiness issue. We have poured 32 of those link slabs. So that's 24%, almost a quarter of the way done on those. So you can definitely feel it when you get kind of to a little bit further towards the away from the main span. There's a definite difference there in where we have removed those temporary panels and done those link slabs. Again, it's weather dependent though, but we look to get 2 to 3 of those for each shift once we get the shifts.
Is the cracking an issue?
Nope, we're sealing that.
Is he gonna do any milling once it's all done?
No, except unless we have a, trouble spot.
When you're done with the panels, the crane's gonna be gone.
We have,
Next phase.
I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But just kind of finishing on the other things, we have
One
pantries.
month behind is not a problem.
Yeah,
Acceptable. 2 months, 4.
all right. We are still also replacing those lane use control gantries. So we had 4 of those. We have 3 of those done and currently working on the 4th one. And to get to, the question about equipment out there. So while this work is wrapping up in terms of the panels, we were not able to, and I talked about this last time, we were not able to come to an agreement on package 2 with this contractor. So we have kind of rephased things. But what we were able to do is advance the truss strengthening work. So the truss strengthening work in the section where they're replacing deck panels now was already completed. So they wrapped that up. We're able to use this contractor and have them perform the truss strengthening work in the other section on the other side of the suspension span. So this contractor will work on that. Is actually installing some of the support equipment now. So they're going to continue working. So there may be some equipment left, but not all the cranes. So after that is gone, with some of that equipment will move away, but they do still need some support.
I'm just thinking that's right.
We haven't heard much. But
I think that'll be something, don't worry about it. Right?
They had to have, you couldn't replace the panels or nobody was gonna pick one up and carry it up there.
And then also, we were able to include in that scope of work for that red line, we call it, we were able to put in the steel barrier replacement in the suspension span. So that work is included in the current contractor's scope. So we have that in there as well. So they'll be working on that. Which means phase 2, we had the design essentially from this, contract manager at risk process that we went through. So we had them, give us, feedback on design. So we had a design package. We're just gonna package that up and time that procurement so that we are able to have that in place once the trust is strengthened, and able to receive the new deck times. So
Do you replace a failing truss or do you just add on another one?
So to be clear, it's not failing. It just needs, it needs a little bit of
Weakening.
strength. It's not, we're adding a little bit of weight because of that widening.
Okay,
So it needs just a little bit of strength.
so it stays
It stays,
and gets the addition.
it just gets additional plating. We weren't able to kind of see that really from the deck, when we were up there on the replacement, but all that happened underneath. And it's essentially, adding additional steel plates to the truss sections. And then, some of it was replacing the original, those rivets that they used in the fifties and replaced those with high strength bolts. So just kind of changing those connections a little bit, strengthening it as well. All right. Next one, BB 3021. It's our on-call structural repairs and other miscellaneous. So this is that cyclical contract that we use to address inspection findings and any other emergency stuff that might come up throughout the course of the year. So this contract currently has 6 active task orders that they're working on, and they completed 4. I think we gave them NTP maybe in February, so they've been kind of underway for a little bit of time now. So they have 4 that they completed and 6 that they're working. Next project is BB 3012, the Q detection system. That's the system that we are working with State Highway and the University of Maryland in order to have some technology on the corridor to help anticipate and give information to our operations group, our construction group about what traffic conditions are on the approach roadways to the bridge. And then hopefully we'll be able to build some analytics that use the current data plus historical data to kind of project what will be coming down the road in 30 minutes or in an hour's time. That enables us to be a little more efficient with our two-way calls, when we're closing lanes, when we're able to, how early we can go into construction, how late we could possibly stay out and try to maximize our time on the bridge for efficient operations, plus, just being efficient with our contractors as well. Our next project is BB 3004, which is the construction of the maintenance equipment storage building. So this was in design and it is all wrapped up essentially. So we're just getting ready to give it over to our procurement group. So we expect to be able to advertise this fall and take bids over the winter. And then we should be under construction with that building by spring of next year, if we are able to get good bids. So that's the hope on that. BB 3025, this is a new project. We've needed eastbound Bay Bridge cleaning and paintings, structural steel phase 1, we're calling that. This is the full cleaning and painting of the spans where we just are replacing the decks, the deck panels. And we're also doing the suspension towers on the eastbound bridge. So we're doing cleaning and painting there. So the current paint system has really given us well beyond its expected life. It's almost 40 years in service now on that paint system. So it's time to replace that. It's noticeable. So we need to get out there and do it. Similar to what we did in 4 phases a few years back now on the westbound bridge, just repeating that over here. So doing this in the area where we've done the truss strengthening, where we've done panel replacement, so just kind of following that along. So phase one there, phase two would go where our deck panel replacement goes, so phase two paint would follow that. So, but this one is just for phase one, and we are looking to have this hopefully out, advertised by September, of this year, with, getting a contractor on board by spring of next year. And finally, BB 3023, that's, the bridge, Bay Bridge protection, as well as suspension span, anchorage concrete repairs, and navigational lighting. So this is the implementation of a bridge protection system. And again, it includes concrete repairs on our anchorages as well as nav lighting. So the navigational lighting for vessels on the bridge. And we have been working on sort of the delivery for this project. We're going to use an alternative delivery method on this project to be able to get a contractor and designer on board. We're looking at late November to advertise that contract, and would hope to have selection and approval again by spring of next year. So that's all my contracts.
All right, thank you very much for the update.
Sure.
May I ask one sort of question?
Yeah.
Where the new panels are, yeah, the Jersey wall goes with it. Oh, it's all in one.
Yeah.
Okay. As you drive across the bridge and everything, well, almost all the Jersey wall has like a metal railing over
Yes.
to the top. Why do certain pieces have it missing?
Not sure about that. I'd have to double check just
Did
in,
you
yeah,
haul something up over? Or
they do.
Could some be some reason like that?
You got one more gantry to put in too.
There's sometimes attachments on the side. So something could be with mounting location. So generally, they had been trying to mount that before they lift the panels as well. So there's been a variety of things that, so I noticed that myself.
The Bay Bridge protection, is that design work been completed?
No.
Okay, so that's what we're doing right now, the design work.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, we're not completing design because we're doing alternative delivery. So we're just advancing into a certain concept level.
so it would be wise to ask, what kind of tonnage would this protect the bridge at?
Yeah, I mean, we have a design vessel that we would be, identifying and, basing our design on that.
So not to jump forward, I mean, we're all anticipating a new bridge. The eastbound bridge first, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
We're spending a lot of money on something that's only, hopefully, won't be in use much longer.
Yeah. I think the idea is that, no matter what we do, we don't want to, preclude any options under the study. And then, we also, obviously are working with, Melissa as part of, coordinating the two projects, to possibly look at, what you do here, can it be incorporated?
I mean,
Public good
dollars
safety-
go further,
Yeah.
yeah, that's all.
Public good safety, you gotta waste that money.
I'm surprised. Thank you.
I think it's a balance, I guess. You had said that at the last meeting, and that makes the most sense. We can't afford anything to happen to either of those bridges like the Key. But we also need to move forward on the new one that's bigger, stronger, wider. So somehow that balance just makes the most sense. It ain't easy.
Right, so we're definitely working together, the two teams, the two projects, working hand in hand to advance and, kind of sync up and the goals and have good outcomes for both.
Thank you. Keep us updated.
Yeah.
So I'm Terry Seuss with the State Highway Administration. I'm here tonight for Will Pines, who's at a conference this week. With me tonight is Ken Fender. He's our district engineer on the Queen Anne's County side. I have a few quick updates now, and then we'll have more of a discussion when we get into the new business. But on the Anne Arundel County side, a few updates on our resurfacing. We completed resurfacing here on 908C, which is Whitehall Road. That was from Maryland 179 to here at Oceanic Drive. That is substantially complete. We're working on a few punch list items. I know, Peter, you had requested some restriping to be appropriated. We actually got your email on Monday. The striping was done Sunday night. However, the team did look at that, and there is not sufficient width there to get that right lane as you had requested.
Right now, what happens is you pull to the right, and then to match up with Skidmore, you have to go all the way to the left.
Yeah, I came that way this evening. I saw that, but I think because of that turning radius coming out of there, they also wanted a little bit more width.
Yeah, that's what, after they had done a temporary job and then you did the final. And when I looked at it, I said, well, you need room to make the left turn.
Right.
So that's what I figured that was. Okay.
And then they will look to resurface 908B, which is East College Parkway, and Oceanic Drive. That will be scheduled later this year after Labor Day. And then we discussed the lighting maintenance that is going on at the 5 interchanges, Pat. So that is scheduled to start this week. We're looking at, the wiring of those interchanges. A lot of the lights were out, and then as you noted, a lot of them were down. So they are starting that.
Great, thank you.
And then just one quick update on Queen Anne's County side. Tracy, last time you had asked us about the Maryland 8 signal. The team looked at that. They agree with you. There's been a little bit of a delay that's been incorporated. The equipment is working properly, and they've made some tweaks to the timing. And then we'll wait for school to be back in session to really be able to evaluate that.
So Dale sitting there and the whole time that the track was going southbound, it just stayed red. I think that when it lights green south, that it flash red, allow the cars to clear out. But it only allows you to go when the arrow is green arrow.
Yeah, they had changed it to an exclusive phasing.
Don't have to do that. It's like the one at the business park and all that. As soon as the light turns green, go through, it's about flashing green or red. Yeah, I would clear more cars out. I would agree with that.
Permissive.
There's
So
not
that's
that
what we
much
call that, when
traffic.
you have the flashing red as a permissive, meaning if
Not
it's
that
clear,
much
you can
traffic
go.
coming north usually.
Okay. Okay, I'll have the team.
Yeah, I
look
had
at
the
that.
same issue sitting here. I mean, month, Rams could go on Route 8, the car get backed up along here. But just somebody to allow more cars to go through on the road.
There, you are right now. Share for you.
Yeah.
So, you work with Bob with that, so we can kind of take a look at that, see if there's something that's going with you. All of us, I think we can work with you.
Bring him to
Yeah.
Thank you, Ken. All right, and I will save the rest for the new business.
All
Unless
right,
there are questions.
all right, next we have the tier 2 NEPA study. Plan and Program Development Director, Melissa Williams.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're down dirty.
What's going on?
Good to hear.
We're very busy. One of the things, as Jim mentioned, our group is working very closely with the engineering teams working on ongoing projects as well as the future projects for the bridge. So that's one of the exciting things that we get to work on. It's kind of fun to make sure we minimize our waste as much as we possibly can. So good news is that we are on schedule. We are still looking at having public hearings late this fall. And then moving on to a selection, record of decision, final environmental impact statement in late 2026. So just over a year left.
I know it seems like a long time, but there's an awful lot to do between now and then. What are you going to hear from us next? Well, what we're working on right now is developing our recommended preferred alternative. We were teasing earlier, we said double adjective, it's got to be something important. So what is a recommended preferred alternative? What we're doing right now is the staff is packaging what we believe the alternative solution, the best alternative solution is. We then share that with our senior management and our leadership and come up with MDTA's, it's MDTA's recommendation that this is the alternative that we prefer and that we would like to move forward with. When that comes out, what we're working with our board, that's what we have, so our recommended preferred alternative, MDTA's. When that comes out, Melissa will send all of you notice that the recommended preferred alternative has been identified. Now that preference, that preferred alternative will be in the draft environmental impact statement, which you guys are familiar with that term by now. That's the document where we share the detailed engineering and potential environmental impacts of all of the alternatives that we've looked at. The bonus is that we'll be putting a nod and saying, this is the alternative that we think makes the most sense. So we'll have the same level of analysis for all of the alternatives, but we will be stating what MDTA is recommending. Now, just to be clear, that is just, it's not a decision. That is not saying that Federal Highway has approved it and we're done. That's saying this is what MDTA thinks is the best answer or the best alternative. When we come out and have the public hearings later this year, we're going to ask people, what do you think? Do you think that's the best alternative? Do you think we can make some tweaks, some modifications to make it better? And that's what people will be commenting on. So the document should be out a couple weeks before the public hearings. And as you folks are well familiar, the public hearings, we will have display boards and staff available to talk you through any of the information. And then folks will be able to give public or private testimony. So you can either stand up in front of the whole room, give your name, your address, and have 3 minutes to give your piece and what your input is. Or you can meet with a court reporter on the side and just you and them share your information. So as usual, we'll be having a meeting one on each shore, as well as an online meeting. And we're looking forward to getting everyone's input. As I said, next very exciting thing is that you will be seeing the recommended preferred alternative, which is not a decision, but it's a recommendation. So that is what we'll be providing comments on. One of the things I wanted to mention, just because we had heard some input, was concerning the possibility of a shared use path. That is something that we are still looking at. Things get misconstrued sometimes, and I was just a little concerned that I had heard people saying that we were not carrying that forward. We anticipate that the shared use path would be part of the recommended preferred alternative, that it would be an option.
Bike trail.
Good question. Good question. I apologize.
Bike trail.
Let me explain that
I
because
think it'd be insane to have bike trail and people walking.
so
It'd be
here,
insane. You got people parking and jumping off. Now they can ride their bike down there. You somebody to go ride their bike.
well,
Hey,
and
that's
this
a
is,
great idea.
this is the input that
I
we're
just
looking
think it's
for.
insanity.
I'm not the lead.
So what that would mean, so that we can provide through input, it would be a barrier separated on one of the bridges. It would be eastbound or westbound. There would be a barrier separated about maybe 10-foot wide bicycle pedestrian path. So people can walk, ride bikes, and it would be bi-directional. So there'd only be one, not on each bridge, but just on one of the bridges.
I hope your insurance company tells you can't.
So you like put a cage over top of it?
No insurance.
Like a,
There are a lot of challenges to a bicycle pedestrian path or a shared use path like this. And I think it's kind of interesting because what we look at is different facilities throughout the country and throughout the world that are similar to our Bay Bridge. And do they have shared use paths? Don't they? Why do they? Why don't they? Why are they successful? What are their challenges? And what we've realized is that this is unique. If it's got the same height, it's in a milder climate. If it's got the same length, it's lower. So there really aren't any other bridges just like ours with the same height, length, weather conditions, changing rapidly weather conditions. There really aren't any other ones exactly like it out there. So we're using all the information that we can gather from all of these similar structures and trying to put together how it might work. And absolutely, there are a ton of safety measures. That's really the most challenging part of designing the shared use path, is for intentional or unintentional jumping, as well as, 4 miles, someone gets stuck halfway and we've got winds blowing through. We have to be ready for all of those things, and we're looking at all those things.
I'm a cyclist, I wouldn't cross the bridge at all.
Yeah, do we have emergency call boxes? Do we have bump outs so people can take a rest? These are all things we have to look at. It's not necessarily a route that you would take your toddler on riding a tricycle on, but your more seasoned cyclists, think it's quite an opportunity. So we're going to look at it, and we are going to take it to the public, and we are looking for everybody's input. That's exactly what we want, Nick, is to hear, what do people think?
Well, I
Do
give you-
people like it, not like it, think it's a great investment, think it's a terrible investment? We're gonna take all those comments after the hearing. Remember, I always come back after the meetings and give you a summary of what folks think. So that's where we're at.
We'll be waiting to hear from you.
Yes, you'll be hearing from her. She'll be sending you the email with the recommended preferred alternative.
I understand the need to discuss it, talk about it, but it doesn't change my opinion that it'd be insane to do it. It's just, but, certainly there are people out there that you've got to feed by talking, considering and doing the other thing. But I understand, but, many reasons it makes no sense.
All right, next one voices comment at the public hearing.
But if I,
Waiting to hear back.
if I can get through the traffic to get.
Oh. Now you're-
All right.
Is that the cyclist on the BRAG says he will not ride over.
Just the wind and trucks and it's a good experience. So,
I mean, I've walked across a bunch of big bridges. I've never ridden a bicycle, but,
yeah.
so, and it's pretty cool. But
Next, we have unfinished business. Next agenda item is, from the April meeting, so we don't have anything, so we'll move on to new business unless any member has an objection. No objection. New business, the Chester River Beach Nesbit Oceanic Access. Was a concern with US 50 access brought before the group by member Moran.
I'd like to go back to when I sent the email, I had 5 topics on there. Is anyone here from MDTA, please?
No.
No. Okay, so we're gonna, interesting, okay, well, anyways, let's start with that one. That was the incident with the tractor trailer, hit the car, and then drove off, the tractor trailer drove off, and that tractor trailer was in the middle lane. The accident on July 4th that Tracy's talking about, tractor trailer was in the contraflow lane, the middle lane.
He was
2 days ago,
Right.
yes,
He was in the right lane trying to avoid the accident. He ended up in the center lane.
I thought he was in the center lane.
I know.
be that as it may, 2 days ago, when we had contraflow in the morning, the westbound span, I had a tractor trailer in front of me, a tractor trailer behind me, and tractor trailers coming up from the eastbound side, going eastbound in the contraflow. So there's just, and there's a lot of tractor trailers are doing the right thing. But sooner or later, somebody's gonna get killed. And it's not when, I mean, if, it's gonna be when. And today I drove over, as I do every day, once or twice a day. And I started looking for the signs for the 5-ton, or whatever the sign that says for lane restrictions. And I found the first one right by the Route 8 ramp saying ahead lane restrictions. And then on the gantry 27 is the first time you see 5-ton right lane only. And then on 25, you see it. 25 is right when you get on the bridge. By that time, there's too much traffic and they can't get over. So I think we need to up our game with signage for sure for these tractor trailers, and not only tractor trailers, but trucks pulling campers, pulling boats, pulling trailers. I mean, the last time we had the fatality with the father and the son, it was a small utility trailer, I think is what came loose and caused that accident. And we need to restrict them to that lane one. And I'm not the bridge guy, I'm not the professional on signage, but I can tell you from looking at it, I would add one more sign on each side about the red X, because we're gonna get to that. But I would definitely add at least two more signs, at least 2 to 3 miles away from the bridge, so they can get in that right lane before they get to the bridge. Because I've seen them trying to get over and they just can't get over, and then you're passing them. And if I'm gonna be in an accident, I don't mind running into another pickup truck, but I don't wanna take on a tractor trailer. And, you know, I don't know what we have to do as a group, maybe make a motion to push this forward, but, you know, I'm gonna leave that to, you know, MDTA, what they think there, but I think that that's the least expensive alternative, trying to keep these, you know, vehicles out of that hot spot, that contraflow lane, lanes 2 and 3. So, I mean, that's a concern for me, and I think that should be a concern for everybody. Let's see here.
So what you're saying, during contraflow on the
Or-
westbound side,
Anytime,
you don't want a tractor trailer in the center lane.
Anytime.
right?
Anything.
It should be either in lane 5 or lane 1.
And
That's
then
what
on eastbound, when
lane
they
5.
approach the eastbound bridge,
Right.
the tractor trailers wander over and end up in the contraflow. They do that.
Right.
Now, they should be ticketed and fined, do whatever you can do.
Well, but I
You
think
got
that
4.5
to their
miles.
defense, you have to really hunt for them, some of that signage that says that.
Yeah.
And some of it's so close up on the bridge, by the time they see it, the traffic is so heavy, so tight, they're not letting them over. So we've got to, you know, again, it's conditioning the public and, you know, the trucking industry, but also all the, you know, I mean, the campers are the ones that scare the hell out of me. I mean, you know, the fifth wheelers and some of the other ones, because you can see them swerving as they're coming up on the bridge. So, you know, I think that all of those, it shouldn't just be the tractor trailers and targeting them, but it should be anybody pulling a trailer.
I've seen trailers on the contraflow lane going east in lane 3. That when they're towing something, the thing they're towing crosses the yellow lines when they come around like that.
Yeah.
They cross it over, goes into the center lane.
But I think that's,
And I don't mean by an inch, I mean like that much.
Yeah, and again, just, just a brief response on that is, we agree that they should not be in that center lane.
right.
And that's the reason for the signage, and that's, you know, the reason for a lot of the enforcement. And I believe we've done an assessment on that a few years back, don't we? Didn't we do an assessment this, where the sign put a slide together, Melissa? Do you have a slide 8? The very last slide. Well, and to continue, I mean, we want the same thing.
Good.
We definitely want the same thing. I mean, we want everyone to be safe. No one wants to run into that tractor trailer. We always continue as everyone to want that safety. We will continue to enforce that.
This is right previous to the emergency crossing.
So this, you got 12 total locations. You got 7 going east and 5 going west. They start a mile out from the bridge. The first sign says restriction ahead, and then you have your 2 left lanes. No vehicles over 5 ton bridge vehicles.
You're saying westbound, what I'm looking at right now, I'm looking westbound right now?
Yeah.
That's correct?
Yes. West. No, yes, that's facing westbound, the picture.
Right, correct.
And I put the locations on there, so you start at N30, the first one at 27, the other 5 is going.
Right, well, 15 and 7 on the bridge already. So, and actually 25 is right at the bridge.
30s is the new one, all of them.
The 30's got, what 30 says is, well, that's 30 right there, right? Oh, no, it's, okay,
So 30 is the first one, so lane restrictions ahead, it gives them a warning.
that's what it's, right, that's what I'm saying, those are so far up there by the time they see it, if they're paying attention at all, it's too late. You know, they're just there, I mean, because I like to be a little bit, it keeps me awake when I come home from work at 4:30. I get into contraflow lane every time. I don't know how many tractor trailers pass me every time, you know, head on. And but I look at all the cars around them and I gotta, who's gonna slow down and let them, you know, merge over? So All I'm saying is I think it'd be more productive if we put those signs, leave those there and add more further out and add more where, whatever you gotta do. Your yellow signs, I see those all the time, because that color just picks it up. If we can do something there and we have a message board there. That, when you're coming from, after the merge, we've got a message board up there. I think we just need to start pumping it full of, anybody pulling a trailer, right lane on, something of that nature. I don't know the terminology, but we need to start reaching more people to get them. Oh,
I'm waiting to.
okay, something that, and again, it's your wheelhouse and
Yeah, no, and we truly appreciate it. And again, this is, regardless of what we're talking about, whether it's tractor trailers or any other thing, which are continuous issues based off of the volume, right, and capacity issues, it really comes down to an educational piece.
Yeah.
And it comes down to a driver behavioral.
Agree.
Because structurally, the infrastructure is not going to do right. We all know that. So we continue to work that and we continue to work that through social media. We continue to work that through signage and we continue to work that through enforcement, right? And hopefully the enforcement gets out. We're gonna get everyone. That's the way it is. Sometimes those tractor trailers, you will see that they are in the proper lane and then end up in the middle. Again, education, right? Driver behavior. So, and that's some of the reason why you see some of those further in, right? To hopefully force them back to where they should be, if they. But as Jamie said, we have at least, from a mile out that, we've got some notifications. And I hear what you're saying. Can we look to see if we can push those somewhat further back? Or at least an additional signage for notification. Set.
That's 100% correct, because that isn't working.
Yeah, so we'll have to look at that. Now, a lot of that, obviously, we will have to look and work with our OEC team. We'll have to work, of course, with our Queen Anne's team, because a lot of that is gonna be, again, off of our right. So we'll start to look at some of that.
Working.
I think Jim had a couple more things
Yeah.
on his list.
What's that? You want?
Man, it's Bennett. I think she got something to bring up when you get done.
You know, in line with what you're
Yeah.
saying, my question is, do you keep stats on the number of traffic tickets? Because again, more input for me for this bridge meeting is, you don't stop the car on the bridge because the cop had a car and stop traffic. But how do we know the tickets are being issued and are they being issued? Do you keep any stats on it or?
Queen Anne's County, our deputies are out there on Saturdays and sometimes on Sundays. And they're sitting there and as they come down the red X, they're giving tickets. I know, and kudos to MDTA because almost every morning I see them out here. And I was happy to see State Highway with them also, because in the past, State Highway wanted nothing to do with this. And it was good to see they're giving tickets. I mean, they are writing a lot of tickets. They're not writing tickets when I'd be happy if
It's
they,
MSP, but we only remember that.
yeah, I'd be happy if they were doing it when there's a backup, but they're doing it when there's no backup.
I was going in Washington and I got, a letter from the governor, PC governor, that, I had been exceeding the speed limit by about 12 miles an hour. And,
It's probably on a very steep hill where you couldn't even
but
brake.
it was a
Yeah.
camera.
That's DC.
I can't hear you.
I said, that's DC.
Yeah.
It's criminal what DC does to us. What they charge us, the tickets they give us. It's criminal.
But I just know the
Not
tickets.
this one, must have got one.
We got tickets
Huh?
You
issued
must have
on
got a call.
Bay Bridge,
Yeah,
finally.
absolutely.
Well, I'm gonna move forward with trying to get red X cameras for the times because, I agree 100%. Until the public realizes all of them, and then, ignorance isn't an excuse. So, we've got the signage up there, and the more signage we have, the better off it'll be. But, if everybody merges, traffic continues to flow, and we've proven that. Both eastbound and westbound, it works. Closing those ramps, it works. Traffic keeps moving. But you know, there's gonna also be those people who think that's not for me, and okay, well, then you can pay. I don't know, I look at that, and, the next one I have is contraflow, and like you said, educating the public, conditioning the public. I'd like to see contraflow on Saturdays stop no later than 1 PM, possibly 12:30 or high noon, and start pushing that message out that when contraflow will be open, you know, weather permitting, and when it's gonna be closed. Because what's happening now, and I'm gonna use Juneteenth and July 4th as my two examples. Is, you know, you have a holiday on a Thursday or Friday, everybody takes Thursday, Friday, Saturday off. So eastbound, you're getting about a third of the volume of the beach traffic Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, maybe a little heavier on Thursdays, but everybody's coming home on Sunday. And what happens now, and what made me really think about this, which is kind of alarming, is we've had two 16-mile backups, and we're not talking about the 15, 20 minutes, we're talking 4 and 5 hours.
Yeah.
Using 3 lanes going westbound with no accidents in great weather.
All lanes.
So my concern is, are we gonna have enough capacity on the new bridge? Honestly, if 3 lanes are running and you still have a 16-mile backup, what does that tell you about the capacity we need on a bridge? And that's one of the reasons why, you know, I mean, and I'm gonna defend Queen Anne's County. We're good to go all the way up to about noon on Saturday. And then with contraflows stuck in place, those people trying to get across the bridge, they hit all of our back streets. And on Sunday, it's even worse. And our sheriff at least is going through these different intersections, trying everything he can to keep people off these side streets. But it's gonna get to a point where we're gonna need something more. That's a play on words, to help us. You know, we've done this before with Governor Hogan, and we might have to do it with Governor Moore. But something needs to, you know, change in the way we address that traffic on Sunday nights coming home. And that's not a knock to anybody in this room. That's not a knock to the state agencies. It's just that not working. And we've got people that pay taxes and would like to not be landlocked in their homes. And, you know, we've got to come up with a better solution. And that's all I'm trying to imply here. That's all.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think you have any argument from anyone here.
Cool.
The problem is again, the capacity.
Yeah.
And so when you start to look at that, you know, the play on words, as you mentioned, is essentially that, right? Because it's everything around it.
Yeah.
They can't do anything with what we've got, other than to try and mitigate as best as you can.
Right.
And I can tell you that we definitely are mitigating to the best of our abilities to be.
And I agree with you.
Yeah, and I'm not just.
But as I'm saying, but we can do more with these ramps. And I think we're gonna have to look at something and be creative. I mean, we go all the way back to before we were closing the ramps. Remember, Anne Arundel County did it, and they said, you can't do that. You know, it's federal money. And I said, well, we're asking the wrong question close to everybody. And it worked. And we just need to maybe add, you know, trigger points, something and the sheriff is, I want to speak for him now because he says, you know, he would love to have something like that. When the backup gets to 10 miles, okay, we're going to close this ramp too. Or when when it gets, the 16 miles, I think is when you have those holidays and there's so many people that go, and we're talking Delaware, and, you know, we've got all roads lead to Rome. Well, Rome is that bridge out in that water and everything westbound comes to it. Or excuse me, from the east side comes to it. And there isn't enough capacity. So we know that. So we need to control what those travelers do. And if we keep them out on 50, one, the traffic will move faster, and two, you know, 30,000 people can at least, you know, have some sort of life.
So just to understand and summarize, you're basically, I mean, we're in agreement, it's an educational piece.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
an awareness piece.
Yes. Yep.
Understood.
Yeah, because I think, you know, because again, you know, contraflow, it works. And on Saturdays, you know, even when the contraflow gets turned off, the backup doesn't get more than a couple miles now. And, you know, we would monitor that. I mean, if it did get crazy, then yeah, you know, I mean, weather plays into it all the time, but if we put, just like when I call baseband all the time, I don't leave my office without calling baseband, and I look at the chart and everything else. But on there, I think we need to add a couple things, like you're pulling a trailer, right lane only, you know, period, you know, add that into that message board. Or, you know, just make the public aware on Saturdays, and I'm only talking about Saturdays. because that's what most of your beachgoers go. So by Saturday, by, let's say 12:30, contraflow will be terminated at 12:30. So people hearing that message on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, they're going to the beach, know, hey, I gotta get across that bridge before 12:30. That's, that's just my suggestion. I just think, if we try and see, and you have these message boards everywhere. My wife hates them because she thinks that slows down the traffic when Route 2 merges in. But I think on that message board right there, just pumping that every day, saying, hey, look at Saturday contraflow terminates at 12:30. Something to that nature.
And I can tell you, and you've heard this from MDTA before. I mean, we really oppose any kind of set times. It does not provide the flexibility that we need to provide safety and efficiency.
Well, tell me how it's unsafe.
Well, it's for various reasons, but I will tell you that first, if you go with the time, let's just say we're gonna let everyone know that we're going into contraflow at 10 a.m. Again, it's the driver behavior, customer education. What's gonna happen is everybody's gonna start to show up at those times and coming in and going out. So what you've done is you've created an additional target for them, for them to start with, and then it's gonna start compounding. So with the flexibility that we have in the event of an incident, in the event of any other kind of issue that comes up, it allows us the flexibility to go back and forth and provide the efficiency we need.
I think.
And we have the flexibility.
Well, let's take, for instance, I'll go back to Juneteenth then. Because Juneteenth, I think that Sunday, or excuse me, that Saturday, contraflow you didn't come out of contraflow till 2:30 in the afternoon.
We started out there morning with the jackknife tractor trailer farm in eastbound,
Right.
which it just rules our day. It runs our day.
Right.
Eastbound, you get heavy flow all day.
But you're
Westbound, you get it in a very short burst.
okay, well, be that as it may, how do you say, you're saying this, the side that's busiest gets the lane, and I agree with that.
We're trying to balance.
I understand that, but my point is, when you're in contraflow and you have 3 lanes running eastbound and they're doing 50 miles an hour, but you got 2 lanes going westbound and they're crawling because they have no capacity and they're backed up. Naturally, the contraflow lane or the eastbound traffic is going to have more capacity because they got 3 lanes running. So, I think that's something. And again, we've already said that when there's an accident or there's weather, all bets are off. And the same message needs to be put out there. I just don't see, I don't see the downside in trying.
We're agreeing on the messaging and the educational piece. The only awareness I want to bring is that, the optics of what 3 lanes and 2 lanes and all also come with many factors, right? We're looking upstream for those volumes that are coming, because based on what the volumes are that are hitting us, if we pulled out, then I might make you happy. But then Pat's gonna come knocking at our door.
Well,
So
we're-
it's that balance that we're trying to do, and that's the balance that we're trying to offer. We're trying
Yeah,
to
but
share.
again, I think that's okay, then we see, we adjust it. I mean, but that kind of that thinking is, okay, so what are you gonna do for Sunday nights? For the 16-mile backup? There's something, we can close the ramps. So, and that's what I'm saying, if what you're saying is you want to go with who has the capacity, or, who's got the most vehicles moving, westbound, Sunday nights, hands down, beats everything.
But you gotta remember that the ramp management, the ramp is sold separate from
I know.
our contractual.
Yeah.
So it's not, they don't
Yeah.
go together.
I know.
Some years ago, in this very room, I think you told us the peak, 1,500 cars per hour to go across one lane. Is that still?
That's
So there's,
what they're designed for, but they never make it.
that's all you got.
It's actually going
You got
They
down.
get about 1,400.
Driver behavior, that number's going down.
So that's what you got. What are you gonna do? Put cars on top of yourself?
Yeah, something else.
No,
1,500.
that's it. I mean, because again, you could do the same thing with the westbound with the messaging in Ocean City with every billboard. Look at it, if we're coming out of contraflow at 1 o'clock on Saturday in Ocean City, don't leave your condo until 11 a.m. Don't leave it, get up, because they're leaving earlier and they're just sitting at the bridge.
And again, this is why I offer, just quickly why I offer, because the question was asked. it's an education piece, because it's not just Ocean City, because where are the people going? They're not going to Ocean City.
That's what
They
I
can't.
said.
They're going to Delaware, going to all these other little
Study
small
helpful to
places.
tell-
And
tell
then they're
where
coming back
money
all at
coming
the same time. So it's an educational piece, and we'll be having.
Maybe the message should be,
Fair enough.
you leave Ocean City between the hours of 9 AM and whatever other time it is. It's gonna take you 4 hours or 6 hours, whatever it is. So if you wanna sit in traffic, you do that. If not, then you pick a different time or a different day. Maybe that would make people like, he said, if I'm sitting in Ocean City, someone told me it's taking 6 hours to get home, I'm like, I'm gonna go find some place to eat, whatever, and I'm gonna go home at 9 o'clock at night, not at 12 o'clock in the afternoon or something, you know what I mean? So maybe give them like a flow chart saying from our previous history, this is what time it has taken to get from Ocean City to the Bay Bridge, across the Bay Bridge, you know, 2 hours, you could leave at 6 o'clock in the morning, leave after 8 o'clock, then it takes 8 AM, then it's taking me 3 hours, or 4 hours, or 6 hours, you know what I mean? This is what time. It's gonna get worse as the day goes on, but it's gonna get better as the night goes on. It'll either go real early, early. I mean,
I would wonder if it's the same people in the 16-mile backup every single.
Nah. It's like truck drivers. I mean, they're not the same truck drivers going across there all the time. You put a local broadcast down, it's not gonna help people come from Florida. Truck drivers from all over the country, so, you know. All right.
One thing I did want to bring up that we talked about, too, prior to the ramp pilot on Saturday, so there's 39 B, which I tried to try to stop, keep everything. And that gave us enough time to still figure it out. We're back into it. But with the ramp footage now, you take the 2.4 miles of that, plus the time it takes to fill that up, and it's all going to main. So now we're getting over the narrows way early. I'm sure you guys noticed that. But good thing is, you can still get around the back road. If he's flowing much faster, and it clears out much quicker too. All right. It's a good thing, but that's kind of unusual. It was easy to get to the narrows, but I've already know like 32, actually 42, that's that extra 2.4 miles that needs to be. And plus the time it takes.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, the triggers. I mean, that's a perfect example. You're right. When they come around that, merge lane from 301 to 50, and they can see all the way to the Kent Nearest Bridge, if they don't see brake lights, they stay on it. And if they pass Nesbit and then they pass Chester Haven Beach, then we've almost got the battle won, because they're out on 50.
So there's no free zone.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Way to Route 18 or going somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, they can't go many other places. 50 and 18 is only two choices. Unless they can swim.
All right, next we have, do the Chester Brook East Nesbit, all that stuff we do in your large vehicles. So next we're on to public comments. Open the floor to comments from the members of the public. Please wait until you're called upon to speak by Melissa or presenting your comment. Out of here, any comments from the public, online?
Bus.
All right, good move. Prior to meeting closing, we'll have our next meeting scheduled to take place on Wednesday, October the 1st, 6 PM. Please have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion adjourned.
Take a second.
So what was the slideshow? Since we never got to see it. Was there a slideshow you had or something?
It was just information put together and, you know, for the whole thing.
Email that to me? Thank you.
Were you able to show that video? Must be.
MSP.
I don't have it connected yet.
Okay, thank you all. Sorry to be here a little bit longer than trying to get to an hour.